my bipolar video was way easier than this one. Alright, so if we start hearing random noises in the background, it's my cat. Yes, I have a cat. I'm stalling. Alright, PTSD. Alright, so PTSD, also known as post-traumatic stress disorder, is when a person has difficulty basically recovering after like an experience or just witnessing like a terrifying and terrible event. It's also very much associated with the service, like military, Air Force, Navy, because obviously that's very stressful shit. So, but it doesn't always have to be. If you're in the service, it could just be something very stressful in your life that you can't get over. So obviously I'm gonna tell my stories, but it's treatable. There's more than 3 million people out there in the United States alone that have this disorder. I can't speak today. So some symptoms that come with this disorder is you have reoccurring nightmares of the situation. You can also be in avoidance of the situation, that person, the setting that you were in, just anything that reminds you of that, you avoid. You also have like heightened reactions. So I remember when my ex-boyfriend, he never did anything to me. He went to move my hair. I would flinch. You're always on edge, and I'll talk about that a little more into the video because there was something that happened a few years ago that till this day has me a little on edge. So the rest is anxiety and depression based. I feel like that's self-explanatory. If you have anxiety because you're looking around, you don't want to get in that same situation. My cat is right there again. Oh, okay, hi. Move. The same with depression. It's a shitty situation. You're gonna... This is my situation right now. He won't get off. I guess you can see my setting. It's awkward. I actually don't need this. So my cat is clearly wanting his space back, so I guess I'll give it to him and do it this way, which is awkward. But some, I guess, treatments are trauma-focused therapy. You go to therapy and you basically talk about it and see what you can do, see what they can do to help you, coping mechanisms, I guess, and medication for the symptoms. That's pretty much it for, ooh, almost dropped you. That's pretty much it for treatments. So I was a sophomore, junior, one of those. I'm not going to name the boyfriend that I had. A lot of people that are watching actually knows the boyfriend that I had. He could be watching for all I know. But it started off as a good relationship. But as we started hitting the 1 year mark, the first ever time he hit me was... He came over. We had broken up at the time. Okay. Yeah, we had broken up at the... I can't. This... So the boyfriend at the time came over because he had broken up with me and he wanted to talk. So I let him come over. And he had told me that he loved me. And I just looked at him. I was like, you don't though, because you're with someone else. So when I said that, he decided to get mad because I wouldn't accept the fact that he said he loved me. And he actually slapped me in the face really hard. And the ironic thing is when he did that, I actually called his mom. But that's a different story with her, so I'm not gonna throw her under the bus. Anyway, then I had called a mutual friend that we had, and she told him to meet us at the park. And her and her friend at the time, I'm not too sure if they talk, but they met us at the park. And I mean, I was the first one to get there because it was literally like 2 minutes away from me, and they actually saw the handprint on my face. So they yelled at him, but my dumbass actually stayed with him. So from what I keep gathering from people that used to go to the school with me, I seem to always be obsessed with him, which wasn't the case. When you're fearing for your life, you just want to not have anybody get involved. You just want to, I don't know, you just don't want to tick them off. So there was a lot of fights in my house. My door was broken because I was running away from him, and he put his arm out, like he extended it when I was shutting the door, and there was a hole in that door, so I couldn't really I mean, there was no excuses. My mom knew that we were like always fighting and stuff. My walls always had a hole because phones would get thrown, and it was a bad time. So with that same boyfriend, no was basically never an option when it came to having sex. So I would say no, and he would just keep forcing himself on me, and I again would say no, and it would happen, and I would cry through all of it, and afterwards he would just look at me and I would still be crying, and he would just, you know, kind of be like, oh shit, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for that, I thought you wanted it. But it would keep happening. Then I finally, I don't know, it was a lot. There was a time where I was laying down and I had a text message, and he asked me who the text message was from, and I literally said, like, I was just like, mind your business. And he got mad that I didn't show him the text message, so I remember he got on top of me, and with his knees he was like crushing my ribs, and then he would pinch me hard enough on my arms that he got a hold of my phone, and it was actually a girl. And I remember, I think it was the day after, I had bio class, and I had a friend that he would always sit next to me, and we would talk and all that, and I had rolled my sleeves up, and I didn't notice that I even had marks on me from the pinches. That he looked at me, he said, what happened? And then I told him, and I said, just don't bring it up to anybody. It's not worth it. But, you know, stuff like that kept happening. I don't know, he was so controlling. There was so many Sweet 16s that I didn't go to. I didn't go to my best friend's Sweet 16. I was in my best friend's Sweet 16, canceled on her because of this idiot. Like, I don't know. But one day, I think it was junior year, I had enough, and he was trying to talk to me, and I said, you just leave me alone. This was after school. He was like, fine, then I'll meet you at your house. So I had enough, and I went to a mutual teacher that we had, and she knew us. I mean, at this point, I think every teacher knew about our relationship, but I had sat her down and I told her everything that happened, and she was like, this is not okay. You need to speak to the vice principal. So she took me to the vice principal, and I didn't want a lot of things to happen, but he looked at me and he was just like, I love my wife a lot and I would never put my hands on her. Why do you stay with him? That's not love. And I mean, it stuck in my mind, and I was like, you're right. So they moved all his stuff out of my locker, and we really couldn't be within like feet from each other. And I guess that's pretty much it for him, but I don't know, it wasn't a good time. But a lot of people that speak to me now, they're just like, oh my god, I didn't know that was happening. Like, you didn't say anything. Like, no, you never say anything when you're a victim of the stuff. Like, you don't say anything. Like, you get scared. And I was just terrified to not have my life, you know? Like, he was already raping me and hitting me. Like, Lord knows if this would have kept happening, like, what would have happened next, you know? But I guess that's that story. On to the next one. So my next story, actually, I should have started with, I was like, I don't know, it was like 4 to 6, I don't remember, but we would always hang out with this aunt. This one feels so awkward because this one's the one that I'm still not over. But so my parents put a lot of trust in this aunt. And sorry. Alright, so my parents put a lot of trust in his aunt, and all was fine. And she would give me okay. She would give me bats and stuff, and she would give me bats and stuff, and she would just kind of like joke around with the body parts. But she would touch the body parts inappropriately. So there's that. Moving on. When I was 11, 12, we had gotten back in contact with her, and I remember laying down, I think it was on a sofa bed, and she wanted to see how I grew. But it wasn't like height-wise. Puberty was kicking in, and she wanted to make sure that puberty was kicking in. So, yeah, there's that aunt. I repressed that memory until I had gone to therapy 3 years ago, and she had asked me, you know, have you been raped? Have you been, you know, abused? Have this happened? Has that happened? And the only thing that I said no to was molested, basically. And it felt wrong when I said that, and I didn't know why. So I think I saw her every week. So a few days before that, I had gone to a birthday with people who are also related to this aunt, but this aunt was not there. So as I was going to the birthday, I kept thinking about it really hard because it didn't make any sense to me why that bothered so much. And this aunt kept coming up in my mind. And I was like, why is she coming up in my mind? And I was thinking about it really hard. And all of a sudden, the first instance came to me. And I just started crying in the car, but I didn't show, you know, my mom was next to me, but I was just so silent. I was looking down at my phone, and I was messaging this guy that I was talking to at the time. And I finally told him, I was like, she did it, you know, like, this is what happened. And I spoke to my therapist about it, and she was like, I'm so sorry. And as I was telling my therapist about that first time, the second time actually came to my mind, me being 11 or 12. And then I told her, she was like, so this has happened multiple times? I said, yeah. And to this day, those are the only two that I remember. But I don't know, at this point, you know, it could have been more, it could have just been those two. But I'm still trying to cope with it, because I feel like ex-boyfriend is different than someone that's related to you, someone that's your blood, you know? Like, how can you, I don't know, just as a human being, how can you just do things to a young child, to someone that's your blood? Like, I don't understand people. And I want to say about like 2 years ago, she tried to reach out to me through Facebook, and I just froze. I didn't know what to do. And my mom looked at my phone, and she took it, and then she blocked her. And she had messaged her, don't you ever look for my daughter again. And my mom would have she would have hurt her. But I told her not to do anything. I just want to get over it, you know, like I don't want to confront anything. I don't want anything to happen, you know. I just want to get over it, and I'm still not over it, and I'm trying, but I don't know. What can you do? You know, it's an aunt. And because of that, I feel awkward when I'm around family members alone. Like, if my grandfather tries to take my car to, you know, go somewhere, I have the biggest issue with just being alone. And I know he doesn't do anything. I know it. You know, just like being alone with my uncle, it's hard. Being alone with another aunt, it's hard. You know, being alone with my mom, it's different. You know, she's my guardian. But anybody else, my grandmother, my cousins, anybody, it's hard. And it's not their fault. It's not. And it's not my mom's fault. You know, it's not my dad's fault. It's no one's fault but hers. So there's that story. There's also the tiny story of my ex-boyfriend after that first one. He was like manipulative. He was mentally and emotionally abusive. And he would just accuse me of talking to people. You know, I was a whore. You know, I was a slut because I'm obviously having sex with someone else. And when that wasn't the case, and the case was that he was actually talking to someone else, flirting with someone else. And that's usually the case. Like, if the person accuses you of something and you know as hell that you're not doing it, they're most likely doing it. But he lasted like 6 months, and we just kind of broke it off because I was done with it. But it takes a toll. The last PTSD thing that I'm going to say was before he starts again. The last PTSD thing I'm going to say is when I first moved here, which was a couple of years ago, we would leave the windows open and stuff, and this one was a baby. What are you eating? This one was a baby. And my mom had left the window open one day, and it was 11 o'clock and I was still sleeping, but I heard a rustling, like the blinds were rustling. So I was like, all right, let me get up. I'm gonna stomp on the floor and tell Shiloh to stop. So I stomped on the floor and I hear running. Not a little kitten running. So when I opened the door, the hamper was knocked down in my mom's room, and I saw somebody running in my house, and they went out that window. So when he went out said window, I I couldn't speak at all. You know, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And I ran to get my phone, which I don't know why I didn't run to get the house phone. It's literally in the same room. But I panicked and grabbed my cell phone, and the first thing that I called was the cops. And I told them, I was like, my house just got broken into, but the person just like ran and left, blah blah. And I was hyperventilating. I couldn't breathe. I was having a panic attack. Literally had a panic attack. And I told them, I can't find my cat. And they were like, okay, just calm down, just stay calm, we're gonna have somebody there, don't touch anything. I was like, okay, but I can't find my cat. And like, I didn't care if there was anything that was taken. I couldn't find my damn kitten that I just got. And they finally came, and I was still trying to find the cat. There was no cat to be found. The window was open. I was like, he must have gotten out, that's it. And they had taken me outside because they had grabbed the guy, but when I went into the cop car so that the guy wouldn't see me, I looked at the guy and it wasn't the guy. And then after that, I was just looking outside to try to look for my damn cat. So, ow. Oh my god, I can't get through this video. So the ambulance finally came, and then we come inside, and all of a sudden I opened the door and the cat was staring at me through the hallway, just. So I was happy. I grabbed him. They did everything that they had to do, the paramedics and stuff. They never found the guy, but I never leave the window open when I leave or anything like that. As soon as I wake up, I have my phone in my hand and I have to look around the house or I wouldn't be able to function. I have to look around the whole house, make sure that the windows are closed, make sure that I know where this one is. But it sucks because that's the one that I still wake up every single day and I'm like, nobody better be in here. But you know, I'm in the shower, I'm always like listening, and I feel like in the shower you hear a lot more things, like noises, and it sucks. But that's my PTSD. I still have nightmares. I avoid a lot of things. In crowds, if I see someone that looks somewhat like my ex-boyfriend or my aunt, I panic and I'm looking around and I'm not enjoying anything. And I still wake up every day looking around, making sure that I'm safe. So that's my PTSD, guys. That's my second disorder and it sucks. That's all I can say. Bye, guys.